to episode 1.
Episode 1, here we go.
Mark Dimmick here with my friend and colleague Peter Robertson. Welcome.
G'day Mark, how are you?
Peter, just a quick intro for yourself and myself to our listeners.
Yep.
Just for, 3 to 5 minutes. Tell me about you from baby to now.
All right, quick short version. My name is Peter Robertson. I'm with Women Portraits Properties, best team in the Western Suburbs. Studied at UWA, decided I didn't want to be a geologist, and after a year of running around the world, included living in Japan for a year and doing a few other things, sort of left field from studying science, I came back to Perth, and I come from a property orientated family. So my dad was a carpenter who became a builder, who became a property developer, and we bought and sold a lot of property around the Western Suburbs. And through that got to know all of the local, what I call the old guard, the well-established agents of that time. We're talking about the early 1990s. But one of the agents we dealt with a lot was a fellow called David McKenzie, and David said to me on I think it was a Friday afternoon, we were talking about, Pete, what are you going to do and what are you going to be? He said, have you ever thought about real estate? And I said, you know what? As in real estate sales, not buying and selling and developing. And I said to David at the time, actually, no, I haven't, but let me talk over it with the folks and my family, and let me get back to you on Monday. He laughed and he said, okay, talk to me on Monday. So Monday came around, and I, having spoken about it over the weekend, thought, that's something I should really, that resonated, dealing with people and dealing in a property class or an asset class that I was very familiar with.
Yep.
So I jumped in and I rang David and I said, I'd love to give it a go. And took to it like a duck to water, and I could almost say the rest is history, but a short version of then to now, because we're talking about roughly a 25-year period. I said to David pretty quickly, this is fantastic.
Yep.
How do I become you, or how do I progress this further?
Yep.
Again, he laughed and he said, you've got to go do your thing called a triennial and get your full license, and then you can run a real estate firm, and that would be a good progression.
Yep.
So immediately I jumped into that, and I went to TAFE, and at that point it was I think called an advanced diploma in business brackets real estate. So I tore into that, and I did it in half the normal time, which that means it took 2 years going to TAFE whilst also working full time.
Yep.
Which was good because it was very much the practical and the theoretical meshed together.
Unlike today, you can get it in 12 weeks, once a week.
On the back of a weedy packet, so it was quite intensive. We did management units, accounting units, real estate law. We actually studied the Real Estate and Business Agents Act inside out and backwards, and we had to actually pass proper tests.
We do that today as well.
You do? Oh, good to know. And at the same time, was working full time, and at the end of all that, you sat before the board back in the day when there was a Real Estate and Business Agents board.
Yep.
Not consumer protection, not today.
Yep.
They grill you, ask you a million questions, and make sure that you are of fit and proper character to hold a real estate license. You've got the experience, and you generally you're armed but not dangerous. You know what you're doing. So I did all of that, passed with flying colours, was granted my license, and then started working in real estate. And from there, I then progressed and worked within the family business. Worked pretty significant property developers around the state. So I ran the management of selling our stock and coordinating other real estate agents, and through that ended up buying a real estate agency and growing that business. I did that with my brother Sven. We ended up again, mergers, acquisitions, etc., expanding. We sold that business. Again, compressing a long story short, in 2009 I came back to Perth, having been out in the wilds of regional WA, selling everything that sat on the earth, from commercial property, rural properties, residential properties, subdivisions, pretty much the whole lot.
This is when you were down the southwest.
Yep. I'm a registered business broker as well, and commercial agent and rural agent, and sort of have all the caps. Came back to Perth and focused very much on the premier real estate market in the western suburbs, because this is where I grew up. Yep. This was coming home in many respects, and has been my focus ever since. So.
And on a personal level, you've got a wife and 2 boys?
Yes, a gorgeous wife, very supportive. No, she married a real estate agent because it's an interesting profession for a family man, because it's pretty demanding. Can be a 24/7 beastie if you're not careful of how you manage that. So yeah, darling wife and 2 small boys, we're in August, so one's just turned 3 and the other's turning 5 in 2 days' time.
And outside of family and real estate, what are your passions?
His family and real estate have really become the main focus, because those are two things that are demanding, and I want to make sure that I do the right thing with my family and bring up two boys that grow up to be good men. So a bit of social life around that, but since we've had the kids, our social life has definitely contracted. But I like to stay fit and healthy, so we're into the outdoors. We go to the beach, we go bushwalking, we stay connected and grounded. Yeah, and that's the kind of, I guess, our main focus when I'm not working and not focusing on the family. It's doing things with the kids and catching up with friends.
Yep, fantastic.
There you go, Peter Robertson in a nutshell. Mate, same question for you. Tell us about Mark Dimmick.
Well, born and bred here in Perth. Currently, there's a family of 5. We've got 3 boys, and obviously my lovely wife Jess.
Yep.
Younger, really northern suburbs of Perth. Grew up wanting to play football, and that was my only focus. It didn't
not surprisingly, the size and height of this fella, you'd appreciate it. If he was standing up, you'd go, he'd be good at footy or basketball.
I didn't focus on schooling at all. It was a byproduct of just knowing that I was going to play football.
Yep.
Only got to play football semi-professionally. Didn't hit the desired expectations. On a professional level, seriously, I've had a million different jobs over the years. Seriously, in all facets, in all different industries, everything, to then come to realise. And I remember specifically had a personal training business and was in the fitness industry.
Yep.
I always remember the guy, when I had my personal training business, the guy who ran the gym said, you should start having a look into sales and get into selling gym memberships. Okay. I said, no, I'm not. I don't want to sell anything. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be one of those people.
He probably saw though that you were a people person, and he probably worked out that if you're a people person and you can connect and you can relate to people, that's really the basis of good sales footing, isn't it?
Definitely. And then so from gym personal training to then gym membership sales and getting training in that, I just fell in love with that in the process. Again, long story short, went from there, running a couple of gyms, again loving that process, to then going into cars and sales and running teams in cars. Yeah,
it sounds like this has been scaling up as you're evolving through this space. Yep.
With Holden and Toyota, and through the car industry you get to know a lot of processes key.
As we go through this program that Mark and I are doing, you're going to discover that Mark is big on process, is very, very good at it.
To then obviously the next stepping stone was real estate.
Yeah.
To now being with William Porteous Properties for just over 10 years, and fortunately we get to sell, in my eyes, the best properties in Perth. Yep. And I think that's the perception of our brand as well, which we've obviously helped grow over that period, and it's never a dull moment. We mentioned it yesterday, sometimes it's the champagne, sometimes it's razor blades. You've just got to manage that process, but certainly it's never a dull moment.
Fantastic. What do you think underpins your passion for property and this business now? Looking at where you've come from, what you've done, how you evolved through that space, what do you think is the underpinning attribute connects you with this industry, with your clientele?
I like the community. In particular, we're very fortunate with the people that we meet, and more often than not, the clients that we meet, we get to learn from as well. So hopefully they're learning from us and our experience in the industry, and hopefully listening to our recommendation when it comes to accepting offers, countering, etc. But the majority of the time we're also learning from them, because most of our clients have got very successful businesses, or they're successful in another avenue of life. Yep. You can always have a shout out with them and get in contact with them and catch up and have a coffee and just learn from them.
I'd agree with you. I feel very much the same. We're privileged to work in the space that we work in. Definitely. I think we're probably, as an agency, we're in that sort of mid to upper bandwidth of the marketplace. Yep. There's a bit of perception. We come up, you and I both have had this before, it's not a $5 million house, you guys wouldn't be interested in selling it. Yes. And really I think we have to appreciate that we do operate all the way around the river, up and down the coast and around the city. And with that, we are our business is focused on that middle to upper sector of the market,
Certainly.
more so than the middle to lower sector of the market,
Yep.
to be fair.
Yep.
And with that, we have very interesting clientele. We get to handle some very interesting properties and put our skills and knowledge, as you say, at the disposal of our clients to guide them through that, what can be a bit of a maze for the people who don't do it as their bread and butter, the air that we breathe every day. It's easy to assume that everybody has the same level of understanding of that space as we do.
Definitely.
So actually that's one of the reasons Mark and I want to do this podcast and this blog, is to talk about the issues in the industry, within the business, common questions that we get asked a lot by our clients, and sort of just generally provide a fairly informal, as you can tell from our video, a fairly informal talking space around property and the related industries and bits and pieces that go from there. So
Definitely.
I think it's going to be good fun as we work our way through this journey and share our experiences.
We've been talking about it for a while now. This has been something that Peter and I have spoken for months. Value to our listeners, adding value to our local communities. What we and hopefully what you get out of it as well, from us and also from the people that we're going to be interviewing.
Yep.
We've got some pretty big people lined up in their industry.
Yep.
Hopefully you'll get a lot of information out of that along the way.
Yeah, so that's it's a big part of what Mark and I are about, is giving back and providing value. So you'll see a link to our emails. We welcome questions. It's going to be a pretty broad ranging base of topics that we talk about every week, and hopefully we'd love your feedback. As I said, any questions you might have, any topics that you'd like us to discuss. We've both done this for a while. We're both fully registered licensees, so we're not just sales reps, we're full real estate agents, which we'll talk probably on another podcast, the differential between those two things. But it's certainly here to help and add value and enjoy the journey with you as we go. All right, we'll see you next time.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Here we go. Cheers, mate.